The exploration vessel Pathfinder drifted through the darkness of space, its hull gleaming under distant starlight. Captain Jake sat in his command chair, watching with tired eyes. 3 months into their survey mission, and every day looked the same. Empty space, distant stars, and the quiet hum of the ship's engines. "Captain, I'm picking up some weird readings ahead," Lisa Park said from the navigation console. Her fingers moved across the holographic display, pulling up data streams. "Energy signatures, big ones." Jake leaned forward. "How big?" "Bigger than anything we've seen before. Multiple sources, could be a fleet." The bridge fell silent. 47 crew members called Pathfinder home, but they were scientists and researchers, not warriors. Their weapons were limited to basic defense systems. Jake felt his stomach tighten. "Try to establish contact," he ordered. Communications Officer Clark nodded and began transmitting standard greeting protocols in multiple frequencies. The chief engineer checked his monitors. "All systems are running normal, Captain. Shields are ready if we need them." Jake appreciated his calm tone. The man never panicked, even when things went wrong. That steadiness kept the crew confident. The flickered and suddenly filled with massive shapes. Ships, dozens of them. Each one was 3 times the size of Pathfinder, covered in dark armor plating and bristling with weapons. They moved in perfect formation, blocking the path ahead. "Oh no," Lisa whispered. A transmission came through, harsh and filled with static. The voice spoke in a language the computer couldn't translate immediately, worked frantically at her console. "Got it," she said. "They're demanding we identify ourselves. They think we're scouts for something called the Alliance." "Tell them we're human explorers from Earth," Jake said. "We mean no harm, we're just passing through." Transmitted the message. The response came quickly, and this time the computer translated it perfectly. The voice was cold and commanding. "You lie. All vessels in this sector belong to enemies of the Dominion. Surrender your ship immediately or be destroyed." Jake's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "Tell them again, we're not part of any alliance. We didn't know this space was claimed." But the alien ships were already moving. Their weapons powered up, creating bright spots of energy that looked like angry stars. The lead vessel moved closer, and Jake could see strange markings on its hull. "They're targeting us," called out, "preparing to fire." "Raise shields, evasive pattern Delta," Jake ordered. His heart hammered in his chest. They weren't ready for a fight, but they couldn't just die without trying. Pathfinder's experimental plasma shields activated, creating a shimmering barrier around the ship. The alien vessels fired, and bolts of blue energy streaked toward them. The shields held, absorbing the impacts with bright flashes. "Shields at 80%, reported, surprise in his voice. "They're holding better than expected." Jake saw an opening. "Return fire, target their weapons only. I don't want to kill anyone." Pathfinder's plasma cannons fired back. The shots were precise, cutting through space and striking 3 of the alien ships. The vessels shuddered, their weapon systems exploding in chains of fire. The aliens broke formation, clearly shocked. "They didn't expect that," Lisa said. "Prepare for emergency jump," Jake ordered. "Find the nearest station or outpost, anywhere with neutral territory." Lisa's fingers flew across her console. "Found something. A big structure, looks like a station, 15 light years away, but Captain, one of those alien ships is disabled. It's drifting." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Lock a tractor beam on it. We're taking it with us." Captain looked uncertain. "We need proof of what happened here. That ship is our evidence. Grab it and jump now." The tractor beam reached out, grabbing the crippled alien vessel. Space twisted and bent as Pathfinder's faster-than-light drive activated. In a flash of light, they vanished. They emerged near a massive structure that made Pathfinder look like a toy. The station was shaped like a ring, kilometers across, with ships of hundreds of different designs docked along its surface. Lights sparkled across its hull like a city at night. "What is this place?" breathed. The answer came quickly, a new transmission, this time in perfect English. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered Nexus Prime, headquarters of the Galactic Council. State your origin and purpose. Why are you towing a warship?" Jake stood up. "This is Captain Jake of the human vessel Pathfinder. We were attacked without provocation. We defended ourselves and brought this ship as evidence. We request asylum and a chance to explain." A pause, then the voice returned, now sounding troubled. Human, we have no record of your species. Stand by for security escort. Do not attempt to leave or power weapons. Ships surrounded Pathfinder, all shapes and sizes, representing species Jake had never imagined. They guided the human vessel to a docking port. Jake could see figures moving inside the station. Aliens, real aliens, hundreds of them. What have we gotten ourselves into? Kate, the ship's doctor, asked from her station. I don't know, Jake admitted, but we're about to find out. The docking clamps secured Pathfinder in place. Jake selected a small team to accompany him, Kate and their security chief. The airlock opened and they stepped into the station. The corridor beyond was enormous, built for species much larger than humans. Aliens walked past, barely glancing at the newcomers. Some had scales, others fur. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or more. The air smelled strange, like metal, and something sweet Jake couldn't identify. A tall figure approached. It was humanoid but covered in smooth blue skin. Its eyes were large and entirely black. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move, but the words came clearly through a translation device on its chest. I am Arbiter of the Galactic Council. You have caused quite a disturbance, humans. Come with me. You have much to explain. They followed through the station, passing through areas filled with aliens conducting business, arguing, or simply existing in a society humans never knew existed. Finally, they entered a massive chamber. It was circular, with seating rising up on all sides. Hundreds of aliens sat in those seats, all watching the humans with various expressions Jake couldn't read. Gestured to the center of the chamber. Stand there. Another figure entered from the opposite side. It was huge, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in dark gray armor that seemed part of its body. Its face was angular and fierce, with burning red eyes that fixed on Jake with pure hatred. That is Admiral of the Dominion, said quietly. He is very angry with you. His voice boomed through the chamber. These creatures attacked ships without warning. They are clearly enemies. I demand they be executed immediately and their location extracted from their computers. The Dominion will not tolerate such aggression. Jake stepped forward, his voice steady despite his fear. We defended ourselves. Your ships fired first. We didn't even know you existed until an hour ago. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens talking, shouting, arguing in dozens of languages, raised a hand and silence fell. This is unprecedented, the Arbiter said. A new species, unknown to us, appears with technology capable of damaging vessels. Admiral, your ships have never been harmed by anything less than a full battle fleet. His eyes narrowed. Then these humans are a threat that must be eliminated. Another voice spoke up. It was smooth and musical. A slender alien with green skin stood in the gallery. Perhaps the humans deserve a chance to prove themselves. I am ambassador of the Alliance. If the humans disabled ships, they may be valuable allies. No, Jake said firmly. We're not joining anyone's war, we just want to go home. Looked at Jake with something that might have been respect. I am afraid that is no longer possible, Captain. You have stumbled into affairs far beyond your understanding. The Dominion and the Alliance have been at war for 20 years. This sector of space is the most contested in the galaxy. You appeared in the worst possible place. Then we'll leave, Jake said. Point us toward empty space and you'll never see us again. The quarters they gave Jake and his crew were comfortable but felt like a prison. The rooms were large, built for species bigger than humans, with furniture that didn't quite fit. Jake sat at a desk that came up to his chest, reading through files on a data tablet had provided. Alex, his first officer, stood by the window looking out at the vast interior of Nexus Prime. Ships came and went constantly, representing more species than Alex could count. This is insane, he said quietly. We're not ready for this. Humanity isn't ready for this. We don't have a choice, Jake replied, his eyes scanning information about galactic law. According to this, the galaxy runs on a strict power system. Strong species control everything. Weak ones either serve them or get protection by giving up their independence. Sat on a couch that was too large, making him look like a child. So what are we, strong or weak? They don't know yet, Jake said. That's what we need to figure out in the next 6 days. A chime sounded at the door. Kate answered it, finding Ambassador standing in the corridor. The diplomat was tall and slender, with green skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. His face was more human-like than with features that could almost be called handsome. May I enter? asked, his voice pleasant. Jake nodded. The ambassador came in, moving with fluid grace. He sat in one of the oversized chairs, somehow making it look natural. I wanted to speak with you privately, Captain, began. What you did to those ships was remarkable. Their vessels are considered among the strongest in the galaxy. No one damages them easily. We just defended ourselves, Jake said carefully. Our shields held and we fired back, nothing special. Smiled, everything about it was special. May I explain your situation more clearly? Please. The ambassador leaned forward. The Dominion controls nearly a quarter of known space. They rule through fear and military might. They believe strength is the only virtue that matters. 20 years ago, they began expanding into territories belonging to smaller species. My people, organized a resistance. We united dozens of worlds into an alliance. And you've been fighting ever since, Alex said. Yes, the war has reached a stalemate. Neither side can gain advantage. Both sides are exhausted. Then you appeared. Eyes fixed on Jake. A new species with technology that hurts. Do you understand what that means? You want us on your side, Jake said. More than that, whoever claims humanity as an ally will tip the balance of the war. Know this. That's why he's so aggressive. He cannot allow you to remain independent or join us. Who had been silent until now spoke up. What if we don't want to join anyone? What if we just want to leave? His expression turned sad. I wish I could say that was possible, but you stumbled into the most contested sector in the galaxy. The space you crossed to reach here contains resources both sides desperately need. Your ship's computer has navigation data about routes through that sector. They will not let that information leave with you. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. So we're trapped, fight in your war or die. I am afraid so, but Captain, there is another option. Pulled out a small device. This contains the location of your Earth. Your computer revealed it when you docked. If they get this information, they will go to Earth. They will demand your entire species submit to the Dominion. The room went silent. Jake felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. His face went pale, stood up, his fists clenched. You're threatening our planet. His voice was dangerous. No, said quickly. I am warning you, multiple species on the Council have this information now. Some of them are allied with others are neutral but would sell it for profit. Yours is no longer secret. Within weeks, ships will arrive at Earth. What happens then depends on what you do now. Jake forced himself to think clearly. What do you suggest? Join the Alliance. We will protect Earth. We will provide you with technology and support. Together, we can defeat thee and create a better galaxy. And in return, your ships fight alongside ours. Your technology is shared with the Alliance. Your people become part of our coalition. Alex shook his head. We'd be trading rule for rule. It would be partnership, not rule, insisted. The Alliance is democratic. All member species have equal votes. Jake stood and walked to the window. Outside, he could see alien ships of every description. Some were elegant, others brutal-looking. All represented species that had made choices like the one he now faced. I need time to think. You have 6 days, reminded him. After that, the Council will decide for you. The ambassador stood and moved toward the door. Captain, I hope you will consider our offer. The alternative is far worse. After left, the room remained quiet for several minutes. Finally, Kate spoke. We need to contact Earth. They need to know what's happening. Already working on it, said. She had her portable communication equipment set up on a side table. I'm trying to establish a secure link through the station's systems. It's going to take time. Palmer, their science officer, entered carrying his own data tablet. Captain, I've been analyzing the technology database they gave us access to. I think I found something important. Show me, Jake said. Pulled up displays showing various alien technologies. Most of these species have had space travel for hundreds or even thousands of years, but their technology hasn't really advanced much in the last few centuries. They use the same weapons, same shields, same drives they used 500 years ago. Why, Alex asked. Because they stopped competing. Once they joined the Council system, they didn't need to innovate anymore. The strong species stayed strong. The weak ones stayed weak. Everyone found their place and stopped pushing boundaries. Jake began to understand, but humans haven't stopped. Exactly. On Earth, we have hundreds of nations competing with each other. That competition drives us to constantly improve, to find better ways of doing things. We've only had space travel for a few decades, but our technology in some areas is already better than species that have been traveling the stars for. Grinned, we're better than them because we fight each other all the time. It's ironic, agreed. Our inability to unite made us stronger individually. Pulled up information about military tactics. I've been studying their combat records. They rely on overwhelming force. Superior numbers, bigger ships, more firepower, but they don't adapt well. Every battle follows the same patterns. Because they always win through raw power, Alex said, understanding dawning. They never needed to develop better tactics. Jake felt hope stirring in his chest. So they're strong but predictable, and we're weaker but more flexible. Exactly, confirmed. A beep from equipment made everyone turn. Her face lit up. I got through. I'm connected to Earth Command. The screen showed Admiral sitting at her desk. Behind her, through a window, Jake could see the blue curve of Earth. His throat tightened at the sight of home. Captain, Admiral said, your message reached us 3 hours ago. We're still trying to understand what you've told us. Admiral, it's all true. We found aliens, lots of them, and we're in serious trouble. Jake quickly explained everything that had happened, listened without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with each word. When he finished, she sat back in her chair. This is beyond anything we prepared for, she said. I've briefed the President and world leaders. They're meeting now to discuss our response. What can Earth do? Jake asked. We're one planet. These empires control thousands of worlds. We do what humanity does best, Captain. We fight smart instead of fighting big. I'm mobilizing the defense fleet. Every ship we have is being prepped for deployment. Our scientists are already working on ways to improve our weapons and shields based on the data you've sent. How long until you can reach us? Hesitated. Minimum 4 weeks at maximum speed. Can you hold out that long? Jake thought about the trial, about the council's deadline. I don't know, I'll try. There's something else, said. The President wants to speak with you. I'm transferring you now. The screen changed, showing a woman Jake knew well, President, his older sister. She looked tired and worried, but her voice was steady. Jake, are you all right? I've been better, he admitted. I'm sorry I led us into this situation. Don't apologize, you did what explorers do. You went where no one had gone before, now we deal with the consequences together. She paused. I've been given full authorization to handle this situation as I see fit. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to buy us time, whatever it takes. Meanwhile, Earth prepares. We're not going to be anyone's servants or victims. Some of these species have been in space for thousands of years, Jake warned. Smiled, and it reminded Jake of when they were children facing down bullies together. Then it's time they met a species that learned to survive by never giving up. Do what you need to do, little brother. Earth will back you up. The transmission ended. Jake turned to face his crew. They all looked at him, waiting for orders. All right, he said. We can't beat them with numbers, we can't outgun them, but maybe we don't need to. What are you thinking? Alex asked. Jake pulled up the Galactic Law database. Said we need to prove humanity deserves independence. There are old laws here, ancient ones that most species don't use anymore. One of them is called trial by merit. Read over his shoulder. If a species claims superior capability, they can challenge another species to prove it. The winner gets whatever they were arguing about. And the loser, Kate asked. Becomes a servant to the winner, Jake said grimly. But here's the thing. If we win, they have to acknowledge our independence. They have to drop all claims against us. It's written into the Council's founding laws. They can't refuse without breaking their own system. That's insane, said. They're the strongest military in the galaxy. The training facility on Nexus Prime was enormous, designed to accommodate species of all sizes and capabilities. Jake stood in the observation room looking down at the simulation chambers below. Holographic displays showed various combat scenarios playing out in different rooms. These simulations are more advanced than anything we have on Earth, said, examining the control panels. The level of detail is incredible. It'll feel completely real once we're inside. Jake had selected his trial team carefully, would handle engineering and defensive systems, would command any combat situations, would manage communications and coordination. Brandon Cole, their best pilot, would handle any flight requirements, and Jake would make the strategic decisions. Captain, the combat records are interesting, said, pulling up footage on a large screen. Watch this battle from 6 months ago. The display showed a fleet attacking a defensive position. The alien ships moved in tight formation, firing in coordinated waves. The defenders tried various tactics, but they simply overpowered them through sheer force. The battle lasted 12 minutes. They never changed their approach, Brandon observed. Same formation start to finish. Because they didn't need to, replied. When you're that much stronger than your opponent, why bother with fancy tactics? Just hit them until they break. That's their weakness, Jake said. They've forgotten how to think creatively because they never had to. Lisa entered the observation room carrying data pads. I've mapped the station's power grid and defensive systems. If the trial is anything like defending an actual station, these specifications will help. Good work, Jake said. What else have we learned? Arrived next, looking excited. Captain, I've been analyzing ship designs. Their shields are powerful, but they draw enormous energy. It's inefficient. They make up for it by having massive reactors. Can we exploit that? Alex asked. Maybe. If we could overload their power systems, the shields would fail. But that would require getting close, and their ships are heavily armed. Jake studied the battle footage again. What if we don't fight them head-on? What if we make them chase us, drain their resources, then strike when they're vulnerable? Guerrilla tactics, said approvingly. Hit and run, it would drive them crazy. Back on Earth, preparations were at a frantic pace. Admiral stood in the command center, watching dozens of screens showing construction yards around the planet. Ships were being finished ahead of schedule, crews trained around the clock. Admiral, the new plasma cannons are installed on all vessels, a technician reported. Based on Pathfinder's design, but more powerful. Good, what about the systems? Operational. We're still testing the nuclear missile guidance systems. Nodded. Earth's weapons technology had always been diverse because different nations developed different approaches. Now that diversity was becoming a strength. They were mounting weapons the galactic powers had never encountered. A screen showed President addressing a joint session of the world government. We face a challenge unlike any in human history, she said. But we have advantages these aliens don't understand. We know how to adapt. We know how to overcome impossible odds. We've been doing it our entire existence. Back on Nexus Prime, Ambassador visited Jake again. This time he looked worried. Captain, I've heard you plan to invoke trial by merit. Please reconsider. Though we'll choose a combat simulation. They excel at combat. We don't have better options, Jake replied. Join the Alliance. We can protect you without this risk. Jake met the alien's eyes. No offense, Ambassador, but I don't think you can. They want us eliminated because they fear what we represent. A new species that can hurt them. If we hide behind you, we'll always be targets. But if we beat them ourselves, we earn real respect. Was silent for a moment. You are either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, Jake admitted. Then I will help you. Not officially, but I can provide intelligence. Transferred files to Jake's datapad. Command structures rely on central coordination. Their ships rarely operate independently. If you can disrupt their command vessel, the rest will struggle to adapt. Thank you. Do not thank me yet, you still have to survive. Stood to leave. Captain, there is something you should know. The entire galaxy will watch this trial. Every species on the Council, millions of beings across thousands of worlds. What you do will be remembered. After left, Kate found Jake sitting alone. Can't sleep, she asked. Too much to think about. She sat beside him. We're all scared, you know, but we trust you. I'm scared too, Jake admitted. What if I make the wrong call? What if people die because of my decisions? Then they die fighting for something important. That's more than most people get. Kate looked at him seriously. Stop carrying all of this alone. We're a team. We succeed or fail together. The next day, Jake requested an audience with the Council. The chamber, filled with representatives from hundreds of species, stood in his section, radiating confidence, presided from the central platform. The Council recognizes Captain, announced. Jake walked to the center, feeling thousands of eyes watching him. I invoke ancient law, trial by merit. I challenge the Dominion's claim that humanity should be their servants. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouting, arguing, some laughing, stepped forward, his massive form dominating the space. You challenge us? Pathetic creature, you are nothing. The Dominion has crushed civilizations 1,000 times stronger than your primitive world. Then you should have no problem proving it, Jake shot back. Unless you're afraid. His eyes blazed. I fear nothing. I accept your challenge. We will demonstrate superiority, and then your species will serve the Dominion for the next 1,000 years. Raised his hands for silence. The trial is accepted. Captain, you may choose the nature of the challenge. Jake had prepared for this. Combat simulation, defensive scenario. We defend a position against attacking forces. Agreed, growled. We will bring 5 of our finest warriors. You may bring 5 of yours. The simulation will last 30 minutes. If you survive or force our retreat, you win. When you fail, you lose everything. One modification, Jake said. 5 against 5 isn't fair. You should bring 25 warriors. Make it 5-to-1 odds. That way, when we win, no one can claim you didn't try hard enough. The chamber went silent, even looked shocked, stared at Jake like he'd gone insane. You want to fight outnumbered 5-to-1? The Admiral asked slowly. I want to prove that numbers aren't everything, Jake replied. Do you accept, or are 5-to-1 odds too difficult for the mighty Dominion? His face twisted with rage and dark pleasure. Accepted. We will crush you so thoroughly that every species in the galaxy will learn what happens to those who defy us. Looked at Jake with something that might have been respect or pity. The trial will occur in 3 days. Prepare yourselves. As Jake left the chamber, Alex grabbed his arm. 5-to-1? Are you crazy? Probably, but think about it. If we fight even numbers and win, they'll claim it was luck. If we win against overwhelming odds, it proves we're superior. It's the only way to earn real respect. Shook his head, or it's the fastest way to get us all killed. That too, Jake admitted, which is why we have 3 days to figure out how to survive. The next 72 hours were the most intense of their lives. The team practiced in the simulation chambers constantly, running scenario after scenario. They learned to work together with perfect coordination, each person knowing exactly what the others would do. Drilled them on combat tactics. Speed and unpredictability, never do what they expect. Use the environment, think 3 moves ahead. Brandon practiced flight maneuvers until he could pilot with his eyes closed. I can make the ship dance, just tell me where you need me. Developed a communication system using codes and shortcuts that let them coordinate in seconds instead of minutes. And worked on power management, finding ways to route energy quickly between systems. We can't match their raw power, so we need to be smarter about using what we have. On the second day, unexpected help arrived. Small packages appeared at their quarters left by anonymous donors. Inside were pieces of equipment, tactical displays, even food from different worlds. A note with one package read, "The strong should not always win. Good luck from the small ones." Kate smiled when she read it. The other species are rooting for us, the ones who've been pushed around by them. No pressure, Brandon muttered. The third day arrived too quickly. Jake barely slept, going over plans and contingencies. When dawn came, he gathered his team in their quarters one last time. I won't lie to you, this is going to be hard. They're bigger, stronger, and more experienced. But we have advantages they don't. We can think creatively. We can adapt. We know how to win against impossible odds because that's what humans do. And if we lose, asked quietly, then we lose fighting, not begging, but I don't plan to lose. Jake looked at each of them. You're the best crew I've ever worked with. I'm honored to fight beside you. Stood, let's show these aliens what humans are made of. They walked to the simulation center together. The corridors were packed with aliens, all moving toward the observation galleries. The trial would be broadcast across the galaxy. Billions would watch. The simulation chamber was massive, easily 100 meters on each side. In the center sat a holographic space station, detailed and realistic. Jake could see defensive weapons, shield generators, docking bays. This would be their fortress. Across the chamber, entered with 25 warriors. Each was huge, covered in armor, carrying weapons that looked capable of destroying buildings. They moved with absolute confidence, laughing and gesturing at the humans. His voice echoed through the chamber. The trial begins when both parties enter the simulation pods. The scenario is simple. Humans defend the station, attack and attempt to destroy it or force surrender. 30 minutes. The galaxy watches. May the stronger prove their worth. Jake climbed into his simulation pod. The interior was comfortable, with neural interfaces that would make the simulation feel completely real. He put on the headset and felt the system connect to his mind. Around him, his team did the same. Through their communication link, he could hear their breathing, sense their tension. "Everyone ready?" Jake asked. 4 voices responded together. "Ready." "Then let's make history." The simulation activated. Jake found himself standing on the bridge of the space station. Through the viewports, he could see empty space, but his sensors showed red markers appearing at the edge of detection range. 25 warships moving into attack formation. "Here they come," Lisa's voice said through the station's communication system. She was monitoring from outside, feeding them information. Jake opened the channel to all defenders. "Remember the plan, let them think they're winning, draw them in, then we spring the trap." The first wave of ships opened fire simultaneously. 25 vessels unleashing their weapons created a light show that would have been beautiful if it wasn't meant to kill them. Energy beams streaked through space, slamming into the station's shields. Jake watched the shield readings drop from his command console. "Shields at 70%, rotate frequency." "Already on it," voice came back. He was in engineering, managing the station's power systems. The shields flickered and stabilized at 75%. "Bought us some time." Brandon sat in the pilot seat of the station's defense fighter, currently docked in the hangar bay. "Captain, let me out there. I can draw some fire away from the station." "Not yet, let them commit fully first." Coordinated the station's weapon systems from the tactical station. "We've got 20 turrets operational, not enough firepower to hurt them all." "We're not trying to hurt them all," Jake reminded him. "Just make them think we're desperate." Monitored enemy communications from her post. "They're confident. The commander is telling his ships to take their time. They think they've already won." "Good, keep listening. Tell me if anything changes." The ships moved closer, maintaining their tight formation. It was textbook military tactics, the kind taught at academies across the galaxy. Concentrated firepower, mutual support, overwhelming force. Against most opponents, it would work perfectly. But Jake wasn't most opponents. "Return fire. Target the lead ships but miss by 30 meters. Make it look like our aim is off due to shield power drain." Grinned, making them think we're panicking. "I like it." The station's turrets fired brilliant orange beams cutting through space. They passed close to several ships but hit nothing. Jake could see the alien vessels adjusting their formation, moving even closer. "They're taking the bait," reported. "Enemy commander is ordering an aggressive push. They want to end this quickly." "Shields at 50%, called out. "This is going to get rough." Jake watched the tactical display. The ships were forming a sphere around the station, closing in from all sides. Exactly what he wanted. "Brandon, launch now, attack pattern Alpha." Finally, Brandon said. The hangar doors opened and his fighter shot out into space. It was small and fast, darting between the larger vessels like a mosquito around sleeping giants. The enemy ships tried to track him, but Brandon was too quick. He fired at their sensors, their communication arrays, their shield generators. Not enough damage to destroy anything, but enough to annoy them. "3 ships breaking formation to chase me," Brandon reported, his voice calm despite flying through a storm of weapons fire. "Leading them away from the main group." "Perfect. Focus all fire on Sector 7. Drop shields in all other sectors." "Drop shields," sounded shocked. "Captain, that'll expose us." "Trust me, do it now." Obeyed, the station's shields vanished everywhere except Sector 7, where they glowed brightly. The ships immediately focused their fire on the shielded area, assuming it protected something vital. "Now," Jake said, "broadcast our surrender on all frequencies." "What's?" voice cracked. "Sir, are you serious?" "Do it, make it sound desperate." Took a breath and transmitted. "Fleet, we surrender, cease fire, we surrender, please stop." The weapons fire stopped. Through the communication channel, Jake heard's voice filled with triumph. "So the humans break, as expected, prepare to be boarded." The enemy ships moved closer, their guards down. Victory was assured. Why stay alert when the prey had given up? Jake counted to 5 in his head, then he gave the order, "Spring it now." Everything happened at once. The shields in Sector 7 dropped, and the ones in every other sector activated at full power. launched every missile the station had, targeting not the ships but the space around them. The missiles exploded in a coordinated pattern, creating electromagnetic pulses that scrambled sensors and shields. Brandon, still being chased by 3 ships, suddenly reversed course and flew straight at them. The pilots, confused, tried to match his maneuver, but their ships were too big and slow. Brandon slipped past them, and they crashed into each other, tangling in a mess of metal and fire. Overloaded the station's reactor, sending a power surge through the shields. They flared so bright it was like a small sun appearing in space. The nearby ships, their sensors already scrambled, were blinded. Phase 2, Jake called out. Target the command ship, all weapons. The station's turrets, now unhindered by the need to appear desperate, fired with deadly accuracy. Every shot hit the largest vessel, the one coordinating the attack. Its shields held for the first dozen hits, then began to fail. The ship tried to retreat, but Brandon's fighter was already there, firing at its engines. Command ship is losing power, reported. Enemy fleet is in disarray. They're requesting orders, but no one's answering. Without central coordination, the ships floundered. Some tried to continue the attack. Others attempted to regroup. A few began retreating. It was chaos. Jake opened a channel to all human units. This is it. Show them what we can do. Pick targets and fire at will. Brandon, keep them confused. Keep those shields up. Jam every communication frequency they have. The battle transformed. No longer a one-sided assault, it became a desperate struggle. The humans moved like water, flowing around enemy attacks, striking from unexpected angles, never where they anticipated. Discovered that ships had a vulnerability near their engine ports. He focused fire there, crippling vessel after vessel. They didn't explode, just lost power and drifted helplessly. Brandon led groups of enemy ships on wild chases, making them waste ammunition and energy. When they got frustrated and broke off, he'd double back and hit them from behind. Manage the power distribution like a master musician conducting an orchestra. Shields up where needed, down where not. Weapons charged at the perfect moment. Every system optimized for maximum efficiency. Not only jammed enemy communications, but broadcast fake orders in language. Ships received contradictory commands, adding to the confusion. And Jake coordinated it all, seeing the battle like a chess game, thinking 5 moves ahead. Outside the simulation, in the observation galleries, the watching aliens sat in stunned silence. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. The stronger force was losing to the weaker one. It everything they understood about warfare. Watched from his own observation point, his face twisted in rage and disbelief. Impossible, he kept muttering. This is impossible. Inside the simulation, the timer showed 20 minutes elapsed. 10 minutes remaining. The fleet, once 25 strong, was down to 16 operational ships. The humans had lost nothing. But Jake knew they couldn't celebrate yet. Cornered animals were dangerous, and they were about to get desperate. Enemy ships regrouping, reported. They're forming a new attack pattern, all vessels converging on the station from one direction. They're going to ram us, realized. If they can't win with weapons, they'll use their ships as missiles. Jake's mind raced. 16 ships hitting the station at full speed would destroy it, simulation or not. They'd win the trial by sheer mass and momentum. Can we move the station? What? No, stations don't have engines, they're fixed in place. This is a simulation. The rules are different, check the controls. Was silent for 3 seconds. You're right, there are maneuvering thrusters, they're weak, but they exist. Captain, you're a genius. I'm desperate, there's a difference. Power everything to the thrusters, move us out of their path. That means dropping shields and weapons. Do it. The station shuddered as its hidden thrusters fired. It began moving, slowly at first, then faster. The ships, committed to their ramming course, tried to adjust, but their momentum carried them forward. Brandon, get back to the hangar now, Jake ordered. On my way. Brandon's fighter raced toward the moving station, slipping through the hangar doors just before they closed. The ships flew through the space where the station had been moments before. They tried to turn around, but station combat was fought at close range. Out here, with nothing to anchor against, their maneuvers were clumsy. Restore shields and weapons. 5 seconds. The station's systems came back online. The ships were scattered, out of formation, vulnerable. Didn't need to be told what to do. The station's turrets spoke, and 6 more enemy vessels went dark. 10 ships left, reported, and they're running. Jake opened a channel to the fleet. This is Captain, you've lost. Surrender now and we'll let you leave peacefully. The response was cursing in the language, translated. They're calling you a cheater and a coward. They say this isn't real combat. Tell them that in real combat, we'd have already destroyed their ships instead of just disabling them. Ask if they want us to demonstrate. Transmitted the message. There was a long pause. Then one by one, the remaining ships powered down their weapons. They're surrendering, said, her voice full of disbelief. We won. The timer showed 28 minutes. They'd beaten overwhelming odds and forced enemy surrender. The simulation ended, and Jake found himself back in the pod, his heart racing. He climbed out and saw his team doing the same. They looked exhausted but alive with excitement. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. Across the chamber emerged from his pod. His face was dark with shame and fury. Behind him, his warriors looked defeated, unable to meet anyone's eyes. The observation galleries erupted in noise. Thousands of aliens shouting, cheering, arguing. The cameras broadcasting to the galaxy captured every moment. His voice cut through the chaos. The trial is concluded. The humans have proven superior capability against overwhelming odds. According to ancient law, their claim is validated. Humanity is recognized as an independent species. The Dominion must withdraw all claims and threats. Stepped forward, his voice shaking with rage. This changes nothing. The Dominion does not accept this result. We will not honor this false trial. The chamber went silent. The expression hardened. Admiral, you accepted the terms of trial by merit. To refuse the results is to break the Council's most sacred laws. Are you saying the Dominion stands above galactic law? I am saying these humans use tricks and deception. That is not true strength. Jake walked to the center of the chamber. Tricks and deception? We used our brains. We adapted. We fought smart. Isn't that what war is supposed to be? Or does the Great Dominion only know how to win by being bigger and hitting harder? You dare mock us? His hand went to his weapon. I dare to tell the truth. Your empire is built on fear and force. You've never had to think because you've always been the strongest. But strength without intelligence is just violence. And violence without purpose is just destruction. Other voices joined in from the galleries, representatives from smaller species, ones who'd lived under threat for years. They'd been silent before, afraid to speak, but now they found courage. The humans are right, one voice called out. They have ruled through fear too long, another said. We should not have to live in terror of our protectors, a third added. Raised his hands for silence. Admiral, the Council has spoken. The trial was fair and witnessed by the galaxy. If the Dominion refuses to honor its own laws, then perhaps the Dominion should no longer have a voice in Council decisions. The threat was clear. Respect the results or face isolation from every other species. Looked around the chamber, seeing no support, only judgment. His shoulders slumped slightly. The Dominion will honor the trial results, he said through gritted teeth. For now. Then it is settled, declared. Humanity is free and independent. Welcome to the galactic community, Captain. The celebration in the human quarters lasted less than an hour before the alarms started screaming. Jake was discussing Earth's next steps with his crew when the station shook violently. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the corridors. What's happening? Kate grabbed the wall for support as another tremor ran through the structure. Jake's communication device chirped. His voice came through tight with fear. Captain, get to the command center immediately. We have a situation. They ran through corridors filled with panicking aliens. Species of all types rushed past, heading toward evacuation points. Whatever was happening, it was bad enough to cause mass fear. The command center was chaos. Dozens of operators worked at stations while holographic displays showed tactical information. Stood in the center, his blue skin somehow paler than usual. Captain, look, he pointed to the main. Jake's blood went cold. The screen showed space around Nexus Prime, and it was filled with ships. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. A massive fleet stretched in every direction, blocking out the stars. At its center sat a vessel so large it made everything else look like toys. The Imperial Fleet, said quietly, led by Emperor Axe himself. How many ships? Alex asked. We've counted 3,000 so far. More are still arriving. Whistled low. That's an invasion force. A transmission came through, the change to show a even larger than. His armor was decorated with symbols of rank and power. His eyes burned with cold intelligence. When he spoke, his voice made the station's speakers vibrate. I am Emperor Axe of the Dominion. I have come for the humans. Surrender them to me now, or I will destroy this station and everyone on it. You have 1 hour to comply. The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center. Jake could feel everyone's eyes on him. We need to evacuate, said. Get people off the station before he attacks. He'll just follow them, pointed out. This isn't about the station. It's about making a point. The Dominion doesn't accept the trial results, so they're going to show everyone what happens when you defy them. Ambassador entered the command center, moving quickly. Captain, my ship is at your disposal. I can get you and your crew away from here. And go where? Jake asked. They know where Earth is. If we run, they'll follow us home. Then what do you suggest? Demanded. We cannot fight that fleet. No one can. Jake looked at the tactical display. 3,000 ships. The entire defense force of Nexus Prime was maybe 200 vessels, and most of those were diplomatic escorts, not warships. This was impossible. His communication device buzzed. It was who'd gone back to their quarters to maintain the Earth link. Captain, Admiral is on the line. She says it's urgent. Put her through. Admiral's face appeared on a portable screen. Captain, we've detected the fleet through your transmitted data. Earth Command has made a decision. We're coming. Admiral, you said you needed 4 weeks to reach us. We pushed the engines harder. We'll be there in 3 hours. President has authorized full combat deployment. Paused. Jake, we can't beat that fleet. We both know that, but we can make them pay for attacking us, and maybe that's enough. His face replaced on the screen. Little brother, you bought us time. Now it's our turn to help you. Earth doesn't abandon its people. This is suicide. Maybe, but it's our choice to make. You taught the galaxy that humans don't back down. Now we're going to prove it. She smiled, though Jake could see the fear in her eyes. See you soon. The transmission ended. Jake turned to find everyone in the command center staring at him. Your planet is sending ships, asked. How many? 30, Jake said. Maybe 40 if they rushed some of the newer ones to completion. 40 ships against 3,000. The Arbiter shook his head. That's not courage, that's insanity. That's humanity, said proudly. The hour passed too quickly. Ships began evacuating from Nexus Prime. Families, diplomats, traders, all rushing to escape before the Emperor lost patience. But many others refused to leave. Representatives from smaller species, ones who'd suffered under rule, chose to stay. If the humans fight, we fight with them, one ambassador declared. We're tired of being afraid. By the time Emperor Axe's deadline arrived, nearly 80 ships had volunteered to defend the station. It was still nowhere near enough, but it was something. Jake stood on the command deck of Pathfinder, now repaired and ready for combat. His crew was at their stations. Around them, the volunteer defense fleet formed up. They looked pitiful compared to the massive armada. The Emperor's voice boomed across all frequencies. Your hour is over. I see you choose death. So be it. The Dominion will show the galaxy what happens to those who oppose us. We will destroy this station, and then we will go to Earth and reduce that world to dust. Your species will serve as an example for the next 1,000 years. Captain, should I respond? Asked. Jake thought about what to say, words that would matter, words that would be remembered. Tell him that humanity has a message for him. We refuse. That's it, just we refuse. That's it. Transmitted the message. There was a pause, then the Emperor laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Then die. The fleet began moving forward, 3,000 ships advancing in perfect formation. The defense fleet looked tiny in comparison. Jake opened a channel to all friendly vessels. This is Captain, I know you're all scared. I am too. But remember why we're here. We're here because some beings in this galaxy believe might makes right. We're here because they think fear is strength. We're here to prove them wrong. He paused, gathering his thoughts. They have numbers and power, but we have something they don't understand. We have the will to fight for what matters. Each of you chose to be here. Each of you could have run, but you stayed. That's real courage. That's real strength. They're going to kill us, someone transmitted back. Maybe, Jake admitted. But we're going to make them remember us. Every ship they lose, every moment they struggle, it'll show the galaxy that the Dominion isn't invincible. Others will see what we do and find their own courage to resist. So let's give them something worth remembering. The ships opened fire. Space lit up with energy beams. The defense fleet scattered using the tactics Jake had taught them during the trial. Don't fight head-on, use speed and unpredictability, strike and fade. It worked, but barely. The sheer number of enemies was overwhelming. Ships fell within minutes, overwhelmed by concentrated fire. Jake watched good beings die and felt rage building in his chest. "We can't hold them," said. "We need that Earth fleet now." As if summoned by his words, space twisted, and 30 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. They emerged in perfect formation, weapons already charged. Admiral's voice came through, strong and clear. "Fleet, this is the United Earth Defense Force. You are hereby ordered to cease hostilities and withdraw. Failure to comply will result in military action." Emperor Axe's laughter echoed across every channel. 30 ships against 3,000? Your species is even more foolish than I thought." "We'll see," replied. "All ships weapons free, show them what Earth brings to the galaxy." The human ships opened fire, and the Emperor stopped laughing. The weapons Earth had developed were unlike anything the galaxy had seen, firing solid projectiles at incredible speeds, nuclear missiles with guidance systems that couldn't be jammed, electronic warfare suites that scrambled enemy sensors and communications, plasma cannons more advanced than the ones on Pathfinder. 3 ships exploded in the first volley. 6 more were crippled. The perfect formation broke as ships tried to avoid the unexpected firepower. But there were still 3,000 of them. Numbers began to tell. Human ships took hits, shields failing, armor breaching. The battle was fierce and desperate. Jake coordinated with, working together to create chaos in the ranks. They targeted command ships, communication relays, anything that would disrupt organization. They were strong, but their weakness remained. They couldn't adapt quickly. "Captain, sensors are showing more ships arriving," Lisa called out from her station. "New signatures, not." On the dozens of vessels emerged from faster-than-light travel. Then dozens more. Then hundreds, ships from species all across the galaxy, small ones that had watched the trial and been inspired. They came armed with whatever weapons they had, ready to fight. Ambassador's voice came through. "Captain, the Alliance fleet has arrived. 300 ships. Where do you need us?" More transmissions flooded in. Species that had never worked together before, uniting against a common enemy. The defending force grew to nearly 1,000 ships, still outnumbered but no longer hopeless. Emperor Axe watched his fleet struggle against the combined force and realized something was wrong. His ships were taking losses. The humans and their allies were fighting with a coordination his forces couldn't match. Every species brought different tactics, different weapons, different approaches. The diversity that the Dominion saw as weakness was proving to be strength. "Focus all fire on the human capital ships," he ordered. "Destroy them and the rest will break." The fleet converged on Admiral's flagship and the larger Earth vessels. Concentrated fire from hundreds of ships struck the human formation. Shields failed, hulls ruptured, ships began to fall. Jake watched in horror as ship took hit after hit. "We have to help them." "We can't reach them in time," said helplessly. But someone else did. Small ships from a dozen species rushed in, forming a protective barrier around the human vessels. They took the enemy fire meant for Earth's fleet, sacrificing themselves to protect their new allies. "Why are they doing that?" asked, watching species he'd never met dying to save humans they barely knew. "Because we showed them it was possible to fight back," Kate said quietly. "We gave them hope." The tide of battle began to turn. The fleet, used to easy victories, found itself in a grinding fight. Ships fell on both sides, but the defenders held. Every minute that passed, more Allied vessels arrived, drawn by emergency broadcasts across the galaxy. Emperor Axe saw his advantage slipping away. He made a decision. "All ships converge on the humans' coordinates. We will go to Earth directly and end this." "He's ordering a retreat," reported. "No, not a retreat. He's going to Earth." Jake's heart stopped. How many ships is he taking? "At least 2,000. The rest are covering his withdrawal." Earth had no defenses except what was already here with its fleet. If 2,000 ships reached the planet, humanity would be wiped out in hours. "Admiral, they're going for Earth," Jake transmitted to. I heard all human ships plot course for Earth, maximum speed. You'll never reach it in time, his voice cut in. They will arrive hours before you. Jake's mind raced. There had to be a way, something he was missing. Then he saw it. The tactical display showed the Emperor's ship at the center of the withdrawing fleet, coordinating everything. Their command structure, Jake said. It's their weakness. Take out the Emperor and the fleet falls apart. That ship is the size of a city, objected. We can't destroy it. We don't have to destroy it. We just have to damage it enough to stop the attack. Jake opened a channel to Pathfinder's crew. I'm going after the Emperor. Anyone who wants to come with me, fall in. Everyone else, get to Earth and prepare defenses. Captain, that's suicide, Alex said. Probably, but it's the only chance we have. To Jake's surprise, almost the entire volunteer fleet followed him. Nearly 500 ships, all determined to stop the Emperor or die trying. They punched through the lines, taking heavy losses but never stopping. The Emperor's ship loomed ahead, bristling with weapons. It fired on the approaching force, destroying dozens of ships with each volley, but the defenders kept coming. Jake remembered something from the trial. They relied on central power systems. If you could overload them, the shields failed. Target the main reactor ports. All ships, focus fire on my mark. Hundreds of weapons fired simultaneously. The Emperor's shields flared and held, but Jake had learned patience. Again, keep firing. Wave after wave of weapons fire struck the same spots. The shields began to fluctuate. Cracks appeared in their coverage, and then finally they failed. The hull of the Emperor's ship was exposed. Jake gave the final order. Now everything we have. The combined firepower of 500 ships struck the vessel. Explosions rippled across its surface. Critical systems failed. The mighty ship shuddered and went dark, its power systems overloaded beyond recovery. Without the Emperor's coordination, the fleet stopped in confusion. Ship commanders tried to make independent decisions, but they'd been trained to follow orders, not think for themselves. The formation fell apart. Emperor Axe, this is Captain. Your ship is disabled. Your fleet is in disarray. Order them to stand down or we will destroy every vessel here. The choice is yours. There was a long silence. Then the Emperor's voice came through, filled with pain and rage. You have won this day, human, but remember, the Dominion is vast. This was one fleet of many. We will not forget this defeat. And we won't forget that we survived it, Jake replied. Tell your people that humanity is not prey. We are equals. Treat us with respect and we'll do the same. Come at us with violence and we'll defend ourselves. We'll keep defending ourselves no matter how many times you try. The fleet began withdrawing, collecting their disabled ships and retreating toward Dominion space. The battle was over. Against impossible odds, the defenders had won. Jake sat in his command chair, exhausted beyond words. Around him, his crew looked the same. They'd survived. Humanity had survived. The next 6 months transformed the galaxy. The species that had fought together at Nexus Prime formed a new alliance, one based on mutual defense and respect rather than fear. They called it the Coalition of Free Worlds. Humanity was given a full seat on the Galactic Council. Earth established trade routes, embassies, colonies. The technology exchange benefited everyone. Humans learned from species with centuries of space travel. Aliens learned from human innovation and adaptability. The Dominion remained powerful, but no longer unchallenged. Dozens of their former vassal states declared independence, inspired by humanity's example. The galaxy's power balance shifted toward cooperation instead of domination. Jake stood on the bridge of Pathfinder, preparing for their next mission. The ship had been given a permanent assignment as the Coalition's flagship, with a crew drawn from 30 different species. Lisa checked the navigation systems. Course plotted for the Andromeda sector. Scientific survey mission. No known hostile forces in the area. That's what they said last time, joked from engineering. Everyone laughed. Entered the bridge with 3 new security officers, all from different species. Team assembled and ready, Captain. Good, contact Earth Command. Let them know we're departing. Admiral appeared on the screen. Be careful out there, Captain. The galaxy is still full of surprises. That's what makes it interesting, Admiral. His face replaced. Stay safe, little brother. Mom worries about you. Tell her I'm fine. Tell her we all are. Jake looked around his bridge. Humans and aliens working together. species that had never met before the trial, now trusted friends. This was the future humanity had stumbled into, a future full of danger and wonder in equal measure. "All stations report ready status," Jake ordered. One by one, his crew responded, ready for whatever came next, ready to explore, ready to defend, ready to build something better than what came before. "Take us out, Lisa. The galaxy is waiting." Pathfinder's engines powered up, and the ship moved away from the station. Around them, space stretched infinite and full of possibilities. Humanity had wandered into a galactic power structure. They'd fought for their survival and won their place among the stars. The adventure was just beginning. Jake should have felt relieved. They'd won, Earth was safe, but's final words bothered him. For now, this wasn't over, it was just beginning. The fleet approached, weapons charging. Energy readings spiked on Jake's displays. In minutes, the battle would begin. Across the galaxy, billions watched their screens, waiting to see if these strange humans could survive against the Dominion's might. Jake took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. "All stations battle ready. Show them what humanity can do." "Strong but predictable," Jake countered. "They rely on force and numbers. We rely on intelligence and adaptation. Maybe that's enough." Stood up, "If we do this, we need to do it right. No room for mistakes." "Agreed," Jake said. "We have 3 days to prepare before the council meets again. I'm going to invoke the trial by merit. Then we're going to show these aliens what humans can do when we're fighting for survival." Alex looked nervous but determined. "What do we tell them when they ask why we think we can win?" Jake smiled coldly. "We tell them the truth, that they've never faced anyone like us before, and they're about to learn why that matters." "It is too late for that," growled. "You have our ship, you have seen our forces, you know too much. The Dominion demands your surrender." Raised both hands. "This matter requires judgment. I will consult with the full council. You have 1 week, Captain. Prove that humanity deserves to exist as a free species, or we will have no choice but to hand you over to the... That is the law." Jake felt his blood run cold. 1 week to save not just his crew, but possibly all of humanity. He looked at his team. They looked back at him with trust in their eyes. They believed he could do this. He just wished he believed it too.